What is happening, people? Welcome back to the Shankly Sessions. Welcome back to the upper tier. Of course, this is a Carabao Cup preview final tomorrow, 4:30 Wembley, kind of Anfield South, if you like. But yeah, really, really important game tomorrow. Nice, would be lovely to see Arne Slot at first attempt to get a bit of silverware into the cabinet, push on from that in what's been a disappointing week so far, really, on the back of that PSG result. Probably didn't do enough really to go through, but obviously very disappointing as well. But let us know your thoughts on that, Reds. Hope you're having a good week and hope you've had a good start to your weekend as well. It is Paddy's weekend, so we will go down through some of the results as well, and we go through them because there's no Monday matchup, obviously, with it being Paddy's Day. So yeah, we will be back next week though for Pro Wrestling Weekly and for Thursday Tier Talk. Just no Monday matchup. Unless we do a show on Tuesday, but you'll be alerted to that on the channel anyway if we decide to do it. So plenty to go through tonight. We will have a look at Arne Slot's press conference and get your thoughts on that. We'll obviously talk about all this talk going around about this war chest and funds being available and all this kind of thing in the summer. Get your thoughts on that. We'll obviously touch on Mo Salah, Premier League Player of the Month, and we'll also touch on Dominic Szoboszlai, Standard Chartered Player of the Month as well. These two really in tandem at the moment and stuff like that, which is really, really cool. We'll go through the lineups and discuss where the danger is. We'll give you our predictions. We'll also have a look at the odds on it and stuff like that as well, and kind of everything in between, whatever you want to talk about and discuss. It's a kind of an open kind of Friday with a flavour of a Carabao Cup preview, if you like. So hit me with any questions you want about football or whatever it is, whatever your flavour is on a Friday. Hope you're all having a nice drink, maybe. It is Friday, so enjoy it. But obviously, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification button, drop a like in the video. Go into the comments. Ian, I was in there as always. Big up, pal. Happy St. Paddy's weekend to you as well, my friend. Hope you're having a good one. And how was work today? Work was busy today. I did a shift on the dogs this morning. Then I went into the shop and I did a shift in the shop. And then I came home and I did about 2.5 hours of gardening, and I just finished there about 40 minutes ago. So my back is in a jocker. My spine feels like one of those predator beasts ripping my spinal column out of my back. But we're all good. Good to see you hopefully next week, pal, as always. Anyone else is in here as well. If you want to ask us any questions or anything like that, we'll go through it as well. We'll take a quick rundown on the results today and stuff like that. Everton won, West Ham won. I think Darren had kind of predicted this. The office looks very well. Yeah, it does. Absolutely. Yeah, it's come together nicely, as they say. It's come together nicely. West Ham taking the lead there. Everton equalising, of course, but point for both teams. Ipswich 2, Nottingham Forest 4. Nottingham Forest on a tear today, really solidifying that top 5 spot, if you want to call it that, at the moment. And Arsenal would want to pick up their ideas in terms of the Premier League, in terms of that top 4 race at the moment. I think the title race is all but conceded at this stage. ASOS is in. Hopefully we get another 4-3 thriller. Yeah, that would be kind of cool, wouldn't it? If it goes our way, of course, you know what I mean? And I said it to Darren on the show on Thursday night as well. I've a sneaky feeling about Penos. This team that we follow doesn't do things easy. And I have a sneaky feeling, looking at the two teams and looking at the players we've lost over the last couple of weeks as well, a lot of the attention has been on the Newcastle injuries and stuff like that. But I think if you look at ours, they're just as important, really, and stuff like that, you know, especially down that right-hand side at the moment, kind of being obliterated in the right back position, and we will talk about that as part of the lineups. But a big win for Forest today, and hats off to them. I really hope they make the Champions League spots. Ipswich still banging trouble. Man City 2, Brighton 2. Interesting game today. I thought this would be an absolute barn burner. Brighton have become over time that dodgy side for Man City, really, haven't they? Had a couple of chances to win it as well, and I think City had a couple as well. They hit the bar with one. I think Gonzalez, wasn't it, Nico? He hit the bar, I think, with a header or something like that. So I was only listening to it on the commentary radio and following it and stuff like that. But point for both teams. City would have been looking for a bit more, but Brighton keep it rolling. Massive 3 points for Wolves down at St. Mary's against Southampton, winning 2-1. This puts them now 9 points, I think, clear of the relegation, and that's really, really important for them as well. So hats off if Ryan was listening. Good win, buddy. Good win. Always grind it out and stuff like that. And then we had a barn belter tonight, Bournemouth versus Brentford, which we predicted as well. 2-1 to Brentford. Thomas Frank winning out in the end. And Iriola actually thrown on lots of subs at the death there, trying to make it happen and stuff like that, but couldn't make it happen. So big 3 points for Brentford. Bournemouth to be disappointed on the back of that, especially on the back of last week's draw as well, where they were 2-0 and in total control and drop points there as well to Spurs. So they'll be quite disappointed. Brentford now actually breaking the record as well. Club record in history, 5 away wins on the trot. I heard that tonight on the tail end of that match and stuff when I was watching it after doing my gardening. So there you go. Old Firm Derby tomorrow as well. Yeah, always a feisty affair, as they say. Great lineup of football tomorrow as well, folks. Right, let's get in and talk about the presser. We always start with the gaffer's presser, isn't it? That's really the place to start. So straight away they came out of the blocks, and it's just at this stage it's kind of jarring. And even the reporting at the moment, since we went out to PSG, all of a sudden articles in the Athletic are appearing and everything and all talking about how it's just a title, about the Premier League, how embarrassing it is to people just boxing in like that, just a title. We spoke about it on Thursday night, but really, really poor. And yes, there's disappointment there, where we thought that we had a real good chance of going all the way in the Champions League as well, and doing the Champions League and Premier League double, which I think has only been done 3 times in the Premier League. Pep has done it, I think. Mourinho's done it, and Alex Ferguson has done it. So it's not that easy to do. I think they're the only 3 that have done it, as far as I know. I'm not too sure. You might correct me on that if I'm wrong. Not a problem. Big up, Brian. Good to see you, buddy. Where's my mouse gone? See this. There we go. There's me mouse. Good evening, pal. Hope you're having a good one and stuff like that. Big win for you last night as well in the Irish League as well, Ryan. So you should be happy with that, St. Pat's. And also, big win today. Big 3 points. Big 3 points that was today. But yeah, let's get into the presser and talk about it. Matoma. Goal should have stood, never a foul on the key goalkeeper. Absolutely. And congratulations to Matoma as well. I think his goal was voted goal of the month as well. And I don't think anyone doubted that. And of course, congratulations to David Moyes as well on winning manager of the month. That job he's done at Everton since he went in there has been absolutely outstanding. Right, so I just don't get the narrative, and then you see it there the other day. You've got Van Dijk talking to PSG people in the corridor at Anfield, and people are losing their shit over when probably all he was talking about was the kind of row that they had the week before and stuff like that. But it's just jarring at the moment. This contract issue with these 3 boys just rolling on and on and on, and it's getting infuriating. And we did say that's the kind of thing that can destabilise us. We need to be laser focused tomorrow. We do look shattered. We do look like our exploits this season under Arne Slot are beginning to catch up on us a little bit. So it'll be interesting to see tomorrow what the energy is like. But we need to come out. We need to hit the ground, and we need to make a statement. And this is such an important trophy as well. So many people play down the Carabao Cup and stuff like that, but the Carabao Cup very quickly can be a launch pad to better stuff. And we know that we're like years ahead in the Premier League at the moment, and it's all but done and stuff like that. But it gives a real lift to the club and to the players and stuff like that as well, to kick on and stuff like that. And especially when they're going to have such a long break from the Premier League, because I don't think we play again until the start of April after the international break. And we literally had 1 Premier League game in March. And we often talk on the podcast about how, rhythm is so important and winning is a habit and all these kind of things. Well, we're coming into this final now on the back of, we beat Southampton at the weekend and stuff like that, but we got 2 absolute beatdowns from PSG between Tuesday and between last Wednesday, which was really, really tough and would have sapped a lot of energy of us, and obviously going to extra time as well and penalties. The mental, taxing of that on us and stuff like that. It's really, really important that we show up tomorrow in Wembley, come out nice and fresh nice and fresh and ready to go to put silverware in the cabinet. And Newcastle will be thinking the same. And Newcastle's the kind of size, well, I have a lot of respect for Newcastle and the Newcastle fan base and what Eddie Howe is doing up there and stuff like that. And he would have, I'm sure, aspirations as well of getting back into that Champions League and pushing on. But he'd love to put a bit of silverware in the cabinet there for Newcastle as well. And that's how big it would be for them. It'd be massive for them as well. For us, I think we're the record holders at the moment of the Carabao Cup. And I think if we win tomorrow, I think it puts us the overall leaders as well in terms of domestic cups. If you put the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup together, I think something like that I read. But yeah, all that aside, it's just about going out there, doing a professional job tomorrow and stuff like that. And again, as I said, we'll get into the team news and the injuries and all that kind of stuff and form, and we'll have a look at that shortly and stuff. But should be interesting. Ryan, both my teams winning this weekend. We were crap against Southampton, but all I care about, it's only about the points, Ryan. Don't worry about the performances. It's only about the points. I think Liverpool edged Newcastle in this game, going for a 2-1 win to Liverpool. Yeah, I'd be very, very happy with that, Ryan, because I tell you, I have a sneaky feeling that they could take us all the way, because I'm looking at the players we've lost, I'm looking at the players they've lost, and it's a flip of a coin, really, I think. And especially with Newcastle, after being there at Wembley and gotten a taste of it, they'll want to put in a performance because they were so poor against United, really, that day, to be honest. Didn't really do themselves any justice at all. But it'll be interesting to see how this kind of starts and how it opens up and stuff like that. Are people just going to go for it? Will it be cagey? Are we going to get a bit of a chess game? I think with Eddie Howe and I think with Arne Slot, I don't think that's the way they play. I think tomorrow will be kind of helter-skelter, if you like. But I've just a sneaky feeling about Pens. Right, let's talk this press conference. First question out of the blocks, of course, Slot and Van Dijk's future. I don't know what is happening next season. The only thing I know, I want Virgil to be here next year. All the rest talks about contracts. It's not what I do. Impact plans. No, not for me. So he's just, I'd say at this stage, he's just sick and tired talking about these contracts at this stage, you know. Slot on Konate and Alexander-Arnold. Maybe Curtis can play right back. I don't like the sound of that. I don't like the sound of that at all. Trent is not available, we know, and obviously Connor's out as well. He won't be there. He is still to be assessed, but we do expect him back before the season's end. Konate yesterday was recovery. I expect him to train with us today. This was yesterday's presser, of course. So it looks like Konate's okay and he's going to be able to play, thank God. Slot on the final. We are looking forward to playing a final. You cannot take it for granted in this country with so many good teams in each competition. If you're part of it, we try to win it. That is what Newcastle want as well. Absolutely. Fairly obvious. Slot on players picking themselves up. Now, that is a good thing about where we are now in the league and cup. Everyone wants to play it, and that is why we get up and come here to train. A chance to win a trophy. Our league position is a reason for us to keep going. If we leave a tournament, then it is better to do it like PSG than Plymouth. The intensity levels were the highest they have been all season. We created a few chances, which we normally score. And yeah, I also liked the game. It was pure football. I've seen so many games recently where it is all about diving and pretending to be injured, time wasting. This was two teams all in pressing wise, pure football. Big compliment to PSG to beat such a good Liverpool team. It's a fair comment, I suppose. In the end, it is normal that the players are tired in extra time, especially when it is so intense. I made 5 changes, so 5 can't be tired. I don't think that is why PSG was better in the last half hour than the first 90. Nothing to do with tiredness. 4 days in between so the players can play Sunday again. Absolutely. No excuses tomorrow, folks. No excuses, Reds. Slot on Kwanzaa. It says a lot about his mentality. England call up. I changed him versus Ipswich, and Virgil and Ebio are such a strong combination. So every time he plays, everyone can see he is a talent. He has had some setbacks, and he has reacted and shown in recent performances he has outgrown being called just a talent. So that is what Tuchel has seen. He has done well for us in a position he is not used to at right back. He is strong, fast, and comfortable on the ball, and he gives us something different on set pieces too. You saw where he hit the post. There you go. And I think he's the answer at right back tomorrow. I don't think Curtis Jones is the answer. The reason I don't think that is because Curtis Jones likes to play football. He likes to be in control of the ball, which is a very dangerous thing to be at right back. And he likes to play the ball out and be on the front foot. I'm not sure either as well whether Curtis Jones will be able to hold that right back position the way Trent has nearly been re-educated on it this year. You see with Trent, he doesn't bomb forward as much as he used to. He's in control of his defending and has found the balance. I'm not sure whether Curtis can find that. I think Curtis at times, if he plays at right back, I think he might find himself out of position a couple of times. Also, his tackling at times, we can't afford to be leading the fouls and stuff like that. They got big guys in the likes of Dan Burn and stuff like that in the Newcastle goal, Shar, who can score goals as well. So giving away set pieces, giving away free kicks and stuff like that on that side of the pitch could lead to trouble tomorrow. We need to be really, really careful on that. But yeah, hats off to Kwanzaa, England call up and all that kind of stuff. And hopefully he comes in tomorrow right back and plays brilliant. Slot on Kwanzaa continued. If Bain is subbed at halftime is a setback, then every player has a few in his career. It was more than people were not used to what I said being so clear about what I saw. That probably led to a situation where he was criticised more than what was normal. He managed his way back into it. Before the winter break, he had a few good moments, so mentality-wise, it might have been a big moment for him, that Ipswich game. Now he has experienced people are not only positive about him, he knows now he can fight his way back when people aren't as positive, and that is something a young player should experience because a career is not always going up. Yeah, so he's reacted to that setback, the Ipswich game, and we know that he wasn't happy at all, and there was quite the reaction and stuff like that as well, and quite the reaction from the fan base as well. I like Jarell Kwanzaa. I think he's a real good talent and stuff like that. And I think because he's a natural defender as well, I think it makes sense to play him at right back. Now, unless Slot's going to think something different, he's going to go something different and maybe go with 3 centre-backs and maybe push the boys on. I don't know and shock us. But I'd be surprised if he did. But I don't want to see. History would tell us dropping midfielders into defensive positions hasn't worked for us, and we know that. The boys are in the comments here. Backlash 10th of May, yeah, and it's in St. Louis. It's not in Mexico, which was previously mentioned. Trying to get myself back into boss mode when it comes to good football matches. It's been a while. Now it's time to find that person. I'm back. Good man. That's what I want to hear. That's what I want to hear. Right, let's continue on the press conference. And remember, give me your thoughts. Slot on Nunes. I assume Curtis felt the same after missing. I assume every player who misses doesn't feel well, but no one felt positive. They took the responsibility. You can miss, but that is what can happen. If you take the responsibility, we were closer to winning in 90 minutes. You can influence the look for penalties, and we do train them on a regular basis, but he missed. Not what you want, but you don't want to make anything more than just missing a penalty. Yeah, and there would have been huge disappointment and stuff like that. And you know, listen, I said it on. I didn't get to see the penalties and stuff like that. I was at a concert and there was just no connection on the phone at all between Wi-Fi or 4G or 5G or whatever it is. It was just horrible. So, and I got the result then when I came out. So disappointing to go out on penalties. But in truth, folks, and I think we have to be honest about this, what the 2 games against PSG showed us is that there is holes in this squad and in this team at the moment that need to be filled. And I think the problem that we would have is if we did go through on penalties the other night, and I'm not saying I didn't want us to go through, I think if we went all the way and we won both, I think the owners might look at things in a very different way than they should in the summer. And I think that would be my concern as well. So, you know what they say, every cloud has a silver lining and stuff like that. And I think we would have learned a lot about some of the players over those 2 PSG games. Slot on fringe players. This way he was asking, and I think this was an interesting question because this was one from Paul, and it was kind of like, I think the background to this was you had Chiesa the other night and you used Gakpo. Why are you using a half-fit Gakpo when you were fully fit Chiesa? And I think that's kind of where this was going. And I think Slot answered it in a reasonable way and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And everyone on the podcast knows my thoughts on Federico Chiesa anyway. I just don't think it should have happened. I don't think it was the right thing. Fringe players, it's difficult because these players on the fringe hardly train with the starters. The ones who played Saturday only do recovery Sunday, so there is hardly ever time to compete with each other. I agree that the players who don't start, it's not an ideal world that we have so many games. That is true. So what this does is this clarifies two things for us on this. One, he doesn't believe in some of the players on the bench that they can do a job for him. And two, he likes working with a very tight group of players. He doesn't like working with a big squad. And we've known this for some time, but this solidifies that and stuff. But I think Chiesa in recent times when he's come on, he's done okay. I think the Plymouth game was a disaster for so many players that day. And I think that was kind of a bit of a setback as well. Disappointment that, like, when you do take a Virgil van Dijk or a Mo Salah out of the team, this is kind of how you show up. This is kind of what happens. And I think from that game ratcheted up the anxiety in the fan base as well, because what it did was it led to people thinking, well, if this happens in the summer and these two boys go along with Trent, is this what our future looks like? So I think that's the case. But I think that question was kind of loaded. And I think that's where it was kind of going. Why wouldn't you use a fully fit Chiesa instead of a half-fit Cody Gakpo? Let me know your thoughts. Slot on the final. I doubt, along with it being bigger for Newcastle, if you reach a final, it is always a big moment for them and also for us. That final is huge for both teams. It's not, obviously, with Newcastle and with the history and silverware and Eddie Howe and all that, and trying to get that first piece of silverware in there in a long, long time, and Eddie Howe would love to do that. But that's as big for us as it is for them guys, because, to be honest, you see when we went out with the Champions League, the reaction, just the Carabao Cup and just the title. You know what I mean? We would have bit your hand off for that last August if people had told us this was the position we were in. We show up. We like this tournament. I said it 2 days ago in this part of the season in England. It's almost impossible to have everyone fit. We have 2 or 3 injuries. That is a minimum you can expect after 4 months of non-stop football. So it is a big compliment for us and Newcastle to have so many fit. Trent and Gordon are big players for both clubs, but there are also a lot of quality players for both. Now, I think with that comment there, where I come in on that comment, and I kind of look, obviously, Gordon is going to be replaced by Harvey Barnes, who looks like he's finding his rhythm finally and showcasing what he can actually do. I think with Harvey Barnes, I think he's more direct, and I think he's more of a goal getter and stuff like that, and will want to have a go. I think with Gordon, where I don't think his finishing is there with Harvey Barnes, I think he's more of a provider. Harvey Barnes will try and cut in and try and score. I think with Gordon, Gordon will go to the byline more often than not and try to create. And I just wonder, with Harvey being in there, he's one we have to be really careful of. And he's one that could get lost in the Isaac and the Jacob Murphy mix. And we need to be really careful about that, because this boy can finish. And not only can he finish, he can hit balls from a distance as well. And that's where we need to be really careful. So I think that's basically the presser and what it was. Nothing to get too excited about really and stuff like that. But little nuggets in there of stuff that were very interesting in terms of working with a smaller group, how we view things, all those kind of things. And as we piece these things together, because again, even being 7 months in or 6 months in or whatever in his reign, or 7, we're still trying to figure out Arnie Slot, the man, the manager and stuff like that and all, so, but interesting in his thinking. Right, before we get into it, these 2 boys absolutely tearing it up. Dom has been absolutely fantastic. And Mo has benefited from that as well, and also been electric as well. Disappointing for both boys the other night, as well as the rest of the players and the fans, the whole club team and all that sort of stuff. But we need to park that. We need to put that away. That's done. That's in the locker. That's finished. We're out of it. No need to dwell on it. And we need to focus now. These 2 boys are going to be crucial tomorrow. And Mo does like a goal in the final and stuff like that. Dom will be critical as well, working that box-to-box kind of role and stuff like that, and sitting a little bit more forward, if you like. So it'll be interesting to see what way that lines up. But both boys picking up monthly trophies, that's always a good sign as well. And I think Mo Salah has picked up his 7th one. I think that's his 7th one, and he's joined Is it his seventh? I think he's joined Harry Kane and Sergio Aguero in the list for Players of the Month. So there you go. So congratulations to both boys. Absolutely well worthy of it, I have to say. What about these guys? What do we make of these guys? Are these guys legit about ponying up in the summer? Can we believe them? Do we believe there's going to be a war chest? We're linked with everyone and their sister under the sun at the moment. So unless we're going to be signing about 10 players, these links are insane. But let us know in the chat, where do you think the holes are? Where were the holes looking the other day? It's certainly that we have an issue at left back. We're certainly going to have an issue at right back with Trent potentially leaving. I think we could look at maybe more defensive cover as well, depending on what way we want to go with it. And then, of course, if Virgil leaves, and obviously talk of Kanate as well, potentially the following year going back to France, maybe to PSG and stuff like that. We're going to have to be wary of that as well. What's the goalkeeping landscape going to look like? Will Alisson exit the building in the summer? Or is he staying? Marmadashvili coming in, is he going to be happy to come in as a number 2? Because if Alisson stays, certainly Alisson would still be number 1, I would imagine. Quivine will probably move on because he won first team football, and there'll be plenty of suitors for him in the Premier League. Plenty of teams out there at the moment looking for number 1s. Excuse me. But I just don't believe. I don't believe these two boys are going to pony up. I just don't see it. And that's really, really disappointing. I think some players could go out the door. And I think more likely than not, they won't give Arna everything that he needs. And they'll leave him short. And that's what's going to happen there. So Twitter at the moment, or X if you want to call it, is just so jarring at the moment. The amount of absolute Liverpool bullshit up there is unbelievable. Linked with everyone, signing everyone, interested in everyone, and all this kind of thing. Absolute garbage. So that's what we have to take it for, and we have to call it out. We should call it out. Every time, Reg, you see it there on Twitter, absolutely call out all these clickbait accounts and absolute junk that they're putting up there. Excuse me. Right, let's talk about team news. Where are we? I think both teams are going in a really, really good form. The only difference between our form and the EFL Cup is that Newcastle have a full plethora of wins. Obviously, we had that 1-0 loss against Spurs in the first leg. So that's the only difference between us. I think Newcastle have been kind of hit and miss in the Premier League. They've been a little bit disappointing with 3 wins and 3 losses. We obviously had, in all competitions, I should say, and for us as well, all competitions, obviously the PSG one is the big one. That was disappointing. 4 wins before that and a draw. So let's get into team news. Obviously, from our point of view, we know that Trent is out. We know that Joe is out. We know that Bradley's out. So obviously Kwanzaa, I would imagine, go in there. But obviously Slot has laid down. He's not too sure what he wants to do between Kwanzaa and between Curtis Jones. I would not recommend Curtis Jones going in at right back, folks. And not that I'm a fan of Curtis Jones. I like Curtis Jones, but the thoughts of Curtis Jones going in as a defensive player would absolutely scare the BJs out of me. Sounds like Kanate is going to be okay, so we've included him in there. We do have backup, obviously, with Endo. Endo could go in there, or maybe they might switch a little bit around, or Jarrell might have to go in there, maybe, and then that might force the Curtis situation, we would say. But it looks like we're going to have more or less a full complement at the back, with the exception of Bradley and Trent. Tyler Martin's shoulder, he's also missing, but probably wouldn't have started anyway. What else? Looking at Newcastle then. Lewis Hall is out. Sven Botman is out. Lascelles is out. Obviously, Anthony Gordon, which is really disappointing for the boy as well, that he's missing out as well. But obviously, Harvey Barnes coming in. And obviously, they'll have a very strong midfield in there as well. But Bruno Guimaraes will look at that. Joe Linton and obviously Tonali, who's had a really good comeback and a really good season so far. He looks like to be that guy. And we've seen a lot of times at the moment, even though he has a little bit of defensive duty there as well, he's pretty good at crashing the box and scoring goals and stuff like that. Barnes and Jacob Murphy will be the supporting act for Alexander Isak. We know how dangerous Isak is. We know firsthand. Barnes, I do think we need to be careful. We can't give him too much space to even fire from distance. He shoots, on sight basically, and he's well capable of smashing a 30-yarder into a top corner, no problem. We've seen it time and time again. Jacob Murphy, he's having a much better season this season and stuff like that. I know myself and Darren in the past have had reservations about him, that if he's the guy you're relying on at Newcastle, it's not necessarily going to lead to good things. But certainly this season, he's looked much better, and his goals and all have come up and stuff like that. And again, that breeds confidence. I think in the back line, Dan Burn, I think he can be got at. I think he could have a tough time tomorrow against our forward players. So if you look at the moment in there, the possible lineups they're talking about, Kelleher. I don't know whether he picks Kelleher or whether he picks Allison. So we'll see. Goalkeeping, we'll just park there for the moment. Could be on. But you're looking at Kwanzaa, Konate, Van Dijk, Robertson, McAllister, Gravenberch, Salah, Szoboszlai, Diaz, and Gakpo. And I think Nunes, again, as I said on the podcast, will be pivotal at coming on and affecting the game at some stage as well, along with Jota, I would imagine. For Newcastle, they're looking at the Dubravka, Trippier, Schär, Bourne, Livramento. I like the boy Livramento. I think he's a real good player. Bruno Guimaraes, Tonali, Joe Linton, Murphy, Isak, and Barnes. So what that means is these are your lineups. Let me know your thoughts. I would be really concerned. I'd also be really concerned on the basis that if we did start Curtis Jones at right back, we may need him in midfield. We may need him to come on and slightly influence the game more forward. And I just don't know if we have an option to switch in there to move him forward. So I don't know. It's kind of awkward if you start him there right back. I think he would provide a pretty good link-up play there with Gravenberch and with Mo Salah. I don't think there's any issue there, but I don't know whether he's going to be. I don't know whether he's capable of holding that position and focusing on it 100% for this whole game and stuff like that. And I think he could drift into his natural position and leave a hole there that could be taken apart there by the likes of, if you flip around the other way, you've got Tino, Livramento, Joe Linton, and Harvey Barnes, and that would be the concern. Harvey Barnes also would be cutting in there. And I could see where Jarrell, I think, would be more composed. I think Curtis, I think, would be more erratic. And I think he might give away a lot more set pieces. And when you have a guy like Harvey Barnes who can hit a ball from that kind of distance and stuff like that, you've also got Murphy there, Isak, Bruno, Tonali. All those boys can hit balls. Schär, we'll have to be careful as well, because if we give away set pieces, he's really, really dangerous from crosses and free kicks. Scores a fair percentage of goals. We know how big Dan Burn is. So that would be the concern on that side. On the other side, I don't really have any concerns. You got Robbo in there. Again, a little bit of patience, but you got the likes of Trippier there who could cause a problem. Bruno matching up against the likes of McAllister and stuff like that, and then Jacob Murphy. I think Jacob Murphy, in the way that he plays, it's not usually pacey. It's more kind of calculated, and I think that might suit Robbo. But I think he'll end up going with Robbo. Wouldn't be surprised if we see Costas coming on at some stage, because obviously Costa's ball into the box is much better than Robbo's. But Robbo's defensive duties and his ability to stay focused within the game is a lot better than Costas. Cody, hopefully he'll have kicked on from the performance the other day, and hopefully his fitness is where we want it to be. We do have options there, obviously, with Jota and with Nunes. We can switch things around. Diaz at the tip. Not really excited about that. At times he's been okay, but more often than not, hasn't really been the answer. Obviously, a big game for Mo Salah with the disappointment of the other day. And Dom will just give you energy after energy and running and pressing and all that kind of stuff. That kind of box-to-box work. 1 minute he's defending his own 18-yard box, the next minute he's attacking. And that's what you get from Dom, who's having an absolute fabulous season. These boys know that they need to put more than a single piece of silverware in the cabinet this year. And I think, and I don't really want to say this if it was only the league, because of the way the league has panned out, I think there might be a level of disappointment. Not to the point of when we were going for the quad and we ended up with the 2 domestic cups. Because obviously winning a Premier League in your first season with a new gaffer is absolutely huge. But the manner in which it's played out, it's kind of been, dare I say, easy. We've been in second gear mainly most of the season and stuff like that. We haven't really had to really, at times we've stepped up a little bit, but most of it, we've kind of coasted it really, But some of the matchups are going to be class. Obviously, Cody there up against Trippier and Sharon will be interesting. Dom firing through the middle there. I think Tonali might track him, to be honest, which would be interesting again. And obviously, we have to be careful of Joe Linton. We know how strong he can be. Diaz up against the 2 boys. Will he be okay, or will the 2 boys be able to handle him there at the back? Or will it be a case of being ineffective and will we need Darwin in there to really put himself about against the 2 boys? Diaz is much smaller. And you got Dan Burn and Shar might be able to kind of bully him a little bit. But if they're preoccupied with him, then does that give us the opportunity to spring Mo or spring Dom to have a big game and put scores on the boards? I think at the back, I think it's reasonably solid. I think if we go with this back 5, I think they're more than capable. I think they haven't let us down much this season, Kwanzaa coming in, he'll be absolutely buoyed by that England call-up and stuff like that. So fair play to him. He'll want to put on a performance as well. No doubt Tuchel will be at Wembley tomorrow, keeping an eye on the boy as well. So hopefully he gets the starting berth. But like I said, if Curtis goes in there, I wouldn't be as concerned about him going forward. I'd be concerned about his attention to detail in terms of defending. And also his tackling. Doesn't tend to be at times as crisp. He tends to be the guy who picks up the second balls where you have McAllister and Gravenberch doing that kind of work. So let me know your thoughts, but that's the talk about. In terms of predictions, I just looking at the 2 teams there, I think they match up pretty well and stuff like that. I don't think there's going to be a huge amount in it. I think there'll be plenty of chances. I think it'll be down to both goalkeepers. So I wonder, will he go with Quavian or will he stick with Becker? I think he'll stick with Allison because I think that's what it might come down to. He could be the difference maker tomorrow. Because everything else on the pitch is pretty as you are, really, let's be honest. If you look at doing like a combined 11, it's not going to be overly heavily weighted one way or the other. I think they're both fairly, I think our midfield and their midfield, those 3 boys, I think matches up pretty good and pretty even. And like I said, Gordon's more of a provider and Barnes is more of a finisher, so he might give that little clinical edge there. But then the 2 boys might get frustrated if they're not being played in and he just keeps on pulling that trigger, So let's see what happens. But big stage laid out tomorrow, 4:30, Wembley, sure to be absolutely fantastic. And a full day's Premier League action as well, including Arsenal entertaining Chelsea, which will be very interesting. United and Leicester as well should be interesting. But yeah, I think I've just a sneaky feeling it's going to go all the way to penalties. It's kind of what happens, isn't it? A lot of the time. So let's see how it goes. I hope not. I hope we just go out and win. But let's see what happens. Leave your predictions and your lineups, folks, in the comments as well if you want. As always, I think penalties is about 11-1 for Liverpool, so it's decent odds as well. But long way to go tomorrow. But hopefully it won't go too far, and we can sign off into this international break with the first piece of silverware of the season going into the cabinet for Arne Slot. And let's see what happens. That's it, folks. So until next time, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification button, and drop a like on the video. Appreciate you tuning in on a Saturday night. I know people will be very busy. As always, have a safe weekend. If you're going out to enjoy Paddy's for Paddy's weekend as well, have a safe weekend as well. These bank holiday weekends more often than not can be very dangerous, especially if you're out there driving. So be super careful out there, folks. Thanks for joining us in the chat, and I will talk to you again real soon. Cheers. Up the Reds.